Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Life of Pi with me, your host, P. Young. And if you are new to this, or you're new to this channel, you're finding me for the first time, thank you and welcome. This is a podcast about movies and television. And right now, we are currently covering HBO Max's miniseries, Tokyo Vice. And tonight, I'm talking about episode 7 of 8. And this episode is titled, Sometimes They Disappear. And so before I dive into this, I actually want to make a quick little announcement. I will be recording a Stranger Things Chapter 1 episode coming up here on Tuesday, so it should be released on Wednesday. And then sometime early next week, I will have Tokyo Vice episode 8, which will wrap up that completely. I will be out of town next weekend, so you won't be any new episodes till later in the following week. So, again, diving into this, episode 7 of Tokyo Vice. And also, thank you for the views and the watch and everything. I've been seeing it go up. Again, so much appreciated and much love to all y'all. Let's get it. Episode 7. We open on Paulina getting into a limo, and she's listening to a song in Japanese, and it's the Kiss Me song. Kiss Me. I think it's by the Gin Blossoms or something. I don't know. I won't sing too much for you guys. You guys got enough of that right there in the 2 seconds. So she gets into a limo and gets driven off. And then it kind of pans out while she's in the limo listening to her headset. It's all in Japanese, parts of her in Japanese. And it zooms out to, it flips over, well, not zooms out, but it flips over to the docks, and you see a body floating in the docks. And it's a dead body, and we see that it's the body of the mechanic that Sato got information out of last episode, in episode 6. So again, a lot of tiebacks and callbacks to each previous episodes in the newest episode. So, we have the next shot is Katagiri, Detective Katagiri, as they pronounce it. He's in the autopsy room and he's looking at the body, and just like Shaky's had discussed it, because he knows that basically this man was killed because of the information that he gave out. And so, we have our next scene is, it opens up and there's a man Sato is dragging a man across the floor, kicking and screaming. And then Sato proceeds to pour lighter fluid all over him and get ready to basically light him on fire and burn him to death. And so he screams, I'll sign the papers. And basically we find out that Toshida shows up and he's like, we give you your money, start your first business, and you try to start another one without cutting us in. And that's not how this works. Now that we have our clause in, you're basically stuck with us forever. You're going to sign over half the casino to us and half to you. So now basically, once you get into bed with these guys, with the Yakuza, and they give you loans and stuff, these people are basically owned for the rest of their lives, and they're basically losing half the profits, and they have to make payments on top of it. So it's a pretty raw deal, honestly, with the way everything works. Again, I don't know if it's still happening now. This is based in the 90s. So it's a pretty little brutal scene, and yeah, it's a brutal scene. And of course we flip over. Jake's been it's a month has gone by since we're being told that it's been a month by somebody at the police station saying, Jake called again for Detective Katagiri, and he's upset with him, as we remember from the previous episode, the big drug bust that was basically covered up by Miyamoto, like Detective Miyamoto, who is now a traitor, as we found out. And basically, Katagiri's like, I'm not talking to him, he basically screwed me here. And so we find out he's been calling every day for a month. And Katagiri meets with his captain, to talk about the dead mechanic and the tie into these dead bodies and these forced suicides, and how everything is tied in together. And so the police actually hold a press conference, and they have the conclusion that they have a murder case that Miyamoto has magically solved all of a sudden, and they won't. And of course they give these reporters literally zero information to write about, and like nothing. They go, that's all we're giving you is that he solved the case and that's it. And so basically the way I took it in this scene was, this is basically a way to make Miyamoto look good in the eyes of the people after he was called out in the newspaper and Detective Katagiri were both called out for screwing up the big drug bust. So, again, it's a good way to make him look good. And we flip over, and Miyamoto and a couple of his partners are called into their boss's office in narcotics. And they are asked to join Detective Katagiri's, basically it's like a vice squad or something like that. And they're basically asked to team up to take down Tozawa. They said they have a bunch of information gathered against him, and they need to team up together to work in unison to basically take him down for good and not be able to let him go again. So Miyamoto's like, what information does he have? He goes, you have to talk to him about it. So then we flip over, and another thing again, I like how much they flip around a lot of times. Sometimes it does get a little confusing following the storylines, but that's what we're dealing with this show. Lots of storylines, and again, they all come together at the perfect time. The way they have the storylines come together, the timing is fantastic. So we flip over, and we have Samantha at her club. Well, it's not open yet. It's an empty club. There's contractors in there, marking stuff. They're starting to build a little bit of stuff in there, and Samantha is trying to recruit Luna to join her business. And Luna's basically like, look, I'm not getting involved with you because your boyfriend is Sato, he's part of the Yakuza, and the Yakuza is going to make you pay, and I don't want any piece of what the Yakuza is doing, and you're going to have to pay them, and it's going to be a big thing, and that your boyfriend's going to have to, are you actually going to be able to pay your boyfriend? And basically she's like, I make good money where I'm at now, and she doesn't want to upset the boat with that. She just tells her no. And of course Samantha is frustrated, offers her in this insane percentage of basically the business. She's like, no, I don't want it, it's too dangerous. So Samantha, again, visibly upset. She's just like, she can't get these girls to come with her like she thought she's going to be able to do. And so we flip back over, and Samantha is back at her regular hostess club, and she's calling Paulina. As we remember, last episode, Samantha wasn't at work for like a week or so. Now Paulina has been gone for a while, so Samantha is freaking out, calling her, saying, you need to call me back, it's been a week. And then we see that we flip over to Sato and Samantha eating dinner, talking about Luna and the club and Paulina, and she's been missing for a week. And it's just, they're a very bored couple at this point. You can see in the scene, there's like, how was work? He's like, good. He goes, how was your work? They're like, good. She mentions Luna, and he's just like, and they're very bored by each other because they can't talk about really their work or their work in their personal lives because they contradict each other, and it's a whole thing, and it's reaching a tipping point, you can kind of tell. And so we flip back over. Miyamoto meets with Jake's boss to talk about the case to get info for the story. In return, so he basically, what we have here, we have a dinner scene. I'll just flip back here. We have a dinner scene. We're back at the restaurant they're always eating at. The Miyamoto always likes to go with the short ribs. And so Jake's boss is meeting with Miyamoto to try and get information on this murder story that he solved, so she has something to write about. And so basically she's trying to buy information by buying him dinner. And basically you can tell that Miyamoto has taken this meeting because he's trying to figure out what the newspaper knows about the impending Tozawa arrest, or the arrest that they're going to try and make. And of course, she's not going to give him very much information. And, basically they're just like, they're at an impasse, and neither one wants to get information, neither one wants to confirm or deny the information they're given. So they're both playing hardball. So then we'll flip over to Jake's boss trying to get a hold of him. call and track him down. And of course, Jake's with the prostitute again, so now he's like just Mr. Prostitution Man. And he takes the call and basically is like, I'll track this person down for you. No problem. And then as Jake's leaving, he bumps into an old college buddy and kind of blows him off a little bit. It's a subtle blow up. He's like, I'll take your number, whatever. He goes, but I might be working, I might not be working. I can't guarantee we'll be able to get there. He goes, no problem, no big deal. And so we flip over. We're back at the Ashoda Yakuza house, and Sato is not happy with his new recruit. Basically walks in with the shoebox and goes, why is there a scuff mark or a fingerprint or something on these shoes? You can't really tell. And basically tells his recruit that he needs to do better and like this is like unacceptable and everything. Of course, it's the 90s. His guys are in there talking about the Matrix and they take the red pill or the blue pill, and Sato's like, why don't you take the pill that'll make you shut up and go back to work, basically. So, and we can see the guy that Sato beat up still got the black eye, his face is all cut up and everything, and we flip back over again to Samantha. She is now at Paulina's place with Paulina's roommate. I forget her name, I didn't get a chance, I forgot to write it down. Basically trying to find clues about where she's at, where she's going, and Paulina's roommate could give two shits less where she's at, what she's doing. She's like, I don't know, she'll be back. I have a boyfriend, he's a pilot, I'm never home, blah, 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 blah. It's like, congratulations on all your success. And then we jump back over. There's a lot of cutscenes, real quick, short scenes in this one, so we're going to do a lot of bouncing around, so just stay with me. Miyamoto chats with Katagiri about what info he has, and basically what, he's trying to figure out what he has, what cases he has, what evidence he has, and where it's at, and can he look at it. And Katagiri's like, it's down in lockup, and no one's going to see it until we're ready to prosecute and present, all of our information. So, of course, Miyamoto, as we know, is a mole and a rat, double agent, whatever you want to call him, for Tozawa. So, he, of course, is, he's not allowed in there, so he's like, how the hell am I getting in there kind of thing. And then we cut back to Samantha. She's going to the salon with Paulina, where Paulina's boyfriend is getting some kind of, like, hair perm or something with all the other dudes who were getting their hair done, like, really, I don't know, they're at a beauty salon with, like, a bunch of dudes at a beauty salon. I don't know, I don't get it. And basically, she's asking, where is she? When was the last time you seen her? He goes, I don't know, I don't care. You know how many girls are lining up to be with me? Basically thinking he's like God's gift to women. And so basically they kind of make fun of Samantha, and Samantha storms out. So at least we have Samantha, who is trying to track down her friend, who actually cares what's going on with her friend, wants to know what's going on, what's wrong with her, etc. Someone who actually gives a crap. And then we flip back over. Jake's on the phone with his boss about all the ignored police phone calls, and like basically find out the police ignored a bunch of phone calls that people made on this girl's behalf, or she made about her boyfriend, beating her up and this and that. We find out the police ignored them, and this basically led to her murder. And we flip over, and Ashoda is meeting with the police, and Sato gets a call in the middle of it, and this is where we find out a little bit, we'll get a little background to Sato's basically family life. So he shows up at the hospital, we find out it's his brother they called him, so he has a brother. We find out that his dad, it's looking like a heart attack at this point. And the mother sees him, and walks in and basically tells him to get lost. You are dead to me. You are no longer part of this family. And he offers to pay for all the bills, the rehab, whatever he can. And she slaps him across the face, I think once or twice, and tells him to get lost. You are dead to this family. I don't want your blood money. So it's a very uncomfortable scene. Obviously, they know what he does for a living, and they do not approve of what he does, as you may not in that situation. So then we flip over, and Jake is calling Katagiri to speak to him at home, and his daughter's like, you know, he's not here, and if he was, he won't speak to you, and she basically hangs up on him. Cute little adorable girl, she's like 7 or 8 maybe. She's like, okay, bye, and that's the end of that. And then we flip back over to Detective Miyamoto, who is now camping outside, smoking a cigarette outside the police station in the rain, waiting for Katagiri to go home. And so you kind of know what he's going to try and do here next, but we will get there in a couple minutes. And so we flip over. Tozawa is getting another one of his injections, and we see he's in a tux, and we're like, okay, what's going on? And doctor goes, it'll be a couple minutes for it to kick in and everything. And we find out, and he walks out, we find out it is his birthday. So it's Tozawa's birthday. He's big handing everybody, shaking hands, talking to people. Very important looking individuals. He's got a very classy lady singing, like, I'm assuming just classical Japanese theater songs or something. I don't really know. Everybody's dressed up to the nines, tuxedos and everything, and so while this lady's singing, after he gives his little speech after dinner, he sees Miyamoto, and of course Miyamoto went from the police station to here, and so he's now at Tozawa's birthday party, and it cuts, and we have Jake drinking with his buddy at a bar, and basically his sister gets brought up, and people say, she's not doing good, this and that, and basically Jake's like, well, people need to shut the hell up what they don't know about, she's fine. So once again, Jake's sister, I think it was suicide she tried, I believe. So it's a very sore subject, again, rightfully so. If that was my sibling or something, I won't want people talking about that crap either. The people need to not talk about it and mind their own business kind of thing. I get that, so I get why Jake would be upset. Immediately apologizes and go ahead, and he takes his buddy to his favorite club, which we've been to 3 or 4 times now, where they've played NSYNC, get the Backstreet Boys. It's a really cool looking place. And of course, he tells me, go grab a table, whatever, I'll grab us drinks real quick. And so of course, Jake then spots Tozawa's girl, Masika, I'm probably butchering this lady's name, and I apologize. And he goes to talk to her, and she kind of blows him off a little bit, and then we flip back over to Sato. Sato is, basically, he shows up outside the hostess club that Paulina's boyfriend works at. They're all out there, trying to get girls to come to the club, and you see him chatting up this pretty girl on the street. And they come, Sato and Samantha come storming up the sidewalk and smacks him in the face and then punches him in the face. He's like, not my face, it's my money maker. And then of course these 2 guys run up and they're like, what are you doing? And he turns around and he goes, I will effing kill you. And they run away because they're scared because they know who he is. And so basically he's trying to figure out, he's trying to get information about where Paulina is. And so we find out that she's been shipped off somewhere because she couldn't pay back the debt from the previous episode where she was getting hammered, racked up a massive bill, buying a couple $1,000 bottles of, champagne, and all kinds of liquor and stuff, and she couldn't pay her bill. So she was sent somewhere to work it off, essentially. And so Samantha wants to go in and talk to the club owner to get more information about what's going on. And the club owner refuses to speak to her because she's a foreigner. Again, different time period, different way of doing things over there. So she speaks, she says she'll speak to Sato. And then we flip back over and we get to, we're there. All right. Yeah, I lost my place for a second, guys. Sorry. Yeah, so Samantha gets sent back outside. Then we flip back over. We're back with Miyamoto. Miyamoto is meeting with Tozawa, at his birthday party outside in secret, going, look, they have this information on you, and they're going to use this case, and they're going to use all stuff against you to basically put you in jail for a long time. And of course, Miyamoto, once out from underneath Tozawa, he's like, he goes, this relationship is getting too dangerous for me. I've covered for you on several huge things, including the plane. Then they mentioned a couple other things. And so basically Tozawa tells him, you give me this information, we're done. We're finished, we're even, we're square. And then we flip back over to the club, and Sato's being told that Paulina's been sent away to work off her debt, like we found out. And then as he's talking to the club owner is giving him severe attitude, basically like, you're not going to do anything because I know you have to keep the peace kind of thing. And he spots Tozawa's men in the club, and it's owned by Ishoda's club. They're owned by it, and Tozawa's men are being allowed. She basically tells him, you're not going to do anything. You can't do anything because you're not allowed to break the truce and the peace. She goes, so how would your boss like it if I told him you were coming down here causing problems, and how do you think that Tozawa would react? So basically he's given very minor details and basically told to get the hell out of the club, that he can't do anything, and he knows he can't. And then of course in the street, Sato and Samantha have their inevitable blow up about their personal lives because they can't talk about their work lives, and essentially they break up. They start screaming at each other. I won't bore the details. Basically like, you only want me around when you need something, and I do something for you, you're nowhere to be found, and basically he feels like he's being used. And so we are back at the club, at the nightclub with Jake and his buddy, and he starts dancing with Tozawa's girl, and one of her girlfriends is dancing with Jake's buddy, and they're outside talking and everything. And Misaki, that's how we pronounce the girl's name, Misaki. There it is. And she's a beautiful girl too, absolutely beautiful. But pretty much everybody in the show is the girls are just absolutely stunning. And so we flip back over from the dance club to Tozawa's birthday party, and all of a sudden, like, a guy walks up and goes, I really appreciate what you did, inviting me to the party and what you did for us. My boss says, unfortunately, our deal's not gonna be able to work out. And then Tozawa's like really like taken aback by it. And he starts to get like all wobbly and like shaky, and basically he passes out in the middle of his party, and he just says, all thing he says, Misaki. And he keeps saying his girl's name over and over again as he's like passing out, not breathing very well. And then we're back at the club, and again they're outside, they're talking everything, and Tozawa's men show up looking for her and find her, and they're like, you need to come with us. And of course Jake's like, all right, whatever, you gotta go. And Jake's buddy tries to jump in, not knowing what is happening, who these people are, and basically gets a knife to the face. And Jake's like, whoa, he doesn't know who you are, like, he's an American, he doesn't understand what's happening. So a good friend jumps in immediately because he sees his friend's about to get literally murdered for this. And that's a huge reality check. You're in a foreign city, you don't really know all the customs and who is capable of doing what in what situation and stuff like that. It's a big reality check for someone like him coming over from America. And of course, on the way home from the club, Jake picks up grabs paper on the way home, and sees that his story about the cops missing all the phone calls and whatnot, which led to the murder, are on I think the second to last page of the newspaper is what he says. And so he's very upset about it, rightfully so. It's a very important story that he needs to know about. So he's pissed, and he goes to his boss's house, and they basically talk about why they keep doing it. She goes, because eventually we're going to find something that's going to stick, and they're going to have to publish it. And she goes, this is what I know. This is what we do. She goes, we keep going, we keep pushing for the people who don't have a voice. So again, his boss is freaking awesome, and hat out to her, super awesome boss, super supportive, works her butt off. And then Jake gets home, after a super long night, as we know, from everything that's happened during the day. And who is sitting on his doorstep? Samantha. And you have to imagine he's probably like, oh my God, like what now? What could possibly be going on now? Probably 4 or 5 in the morning. He's getting home, if not later, I'm guessing. He's getting newspapers probably 4 or 5 in the morning. Basically Samantha's asking him for help, and he's just like, okay, and lets her in. The next shot we see is a very important shot in this show. We have Miyamoto is going around the police station trying to find a way to get into the file cabinet place, wherever they keep all the court documents that they're going to use against Tozawa. And so eventually he picks the lock, and he finds the box as evidence against Tozawa, and he goes through and sees that it's empty. And all of a sudden, over the corner, you see like a red blinking light, and you can see that someone's recording him, and he knows that he's been caught breaking in and going through evidence that he's looking for. So he's just been found. They just found out that he is the rat. He is an informer, basically, and that he's trying to find information there. And we see that he's being watched. We don't know who was watching him, but I'm sure we have some guesses as to who it is. But that will have to wait till next episode 8, which is the final one for this season, which is a really intense one. Again, that one will be sometime in the first week of July. It won't be this coming weekend. I won't even be in the state or anything like that. So I will be finishing this one up, so don't worry. Again, like I said before, the beginning of the episode, we do have Stranger Things recording Tuesday night. I'm hoping to have it up Wednesday evening. Again, we'll be having 2 different guests on, so I'm really excited about that. Be sure to check it out. And this one will be a little different. You're not going to see any of this probably that you see now. It's basically just going to be a screen grab because they're in 2 different parts of the country. One's on the West Coast and one's here in Illinois. So I'm going to do a screen grab via Zoom. And so basically that's what you're going to see on my YouTube is just the screen grab that we have. And that's the way we're going to do this one. It's a little different because, again, they're different states, but they're gracious enough to come on. So I'm really excited. Again, one's a first-time guest, one's a repeat guest. He's been on, I think, twice now. So this will be his 3rd time coming back, I believe. And the one will be his first time coming on. So excited to have both these guys on. It's going to be an awesome episode. I'm actually going to go start rewatching Stranger Things here as soon as I wrap up. And again, guys, but go ahead, you see the subscribe button, go ahead and like, subscribe. It helps me out, helps the show out a lot. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias. Life of Pi, look for this logo here. And again, so be sure to follow me on all social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, on all of them. And again, if there's a movie or a TV show you want me to talk about or cover, or you want to come on and talk about and cover, if I don't know you at all, literally just direct message me and we'll set something up. If it's something I can get my hands on to watch, we'll set something up and we'll make it happen. I'm always up for meeting new people, having guests on that I've never met personally. That's the fun of doing this podcasting stuff. It's a good time. So now that I've rambled for 2 minutes, we'll wrap this up. So, thank you guys again so much for watching and listening. Oh boy. But yeah, and that's that's all I really got for you guys tonight. Sorry, I lost my clicker here to turn off the video. So I will talk to you guys all next week, and if I don't see you before then, happy 4th of July, be safe out there, and I will talk to y'all later. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed your slice of pie.